right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Rain chances are creeping up for Thursday, but dropping a bit for the weekend. The changes the Weather First team is tracking tonight.
Radioactive concerns at Jana Elementary. The Army Corps of Engineers says the school is safe, why parents aren't convinced. But first, Metrolink riders now on alert after a man tries to attack 2 women at stations downtown.
It's very frightening. No one should have to, be scared.
Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. Ann Allred has the night off. Police say the 2 attempted sexual attacks happened last week, just a day apart. One of the violent crimes happened at the Metrolink station near 8th and Pine, and our Robert Townsend is there live. Robert.
Hey there, Mike. Police tell me the accused rapist attacked both victims. Get this, as they waited on Metrolink trains. Tonight, the suspect is locked up and facing charges. Prosecutors charged Dartarius Gibson with multiple crimes after police say he attempted to rape 2 women at 2 different Metrolink stations in the heart of downtown St. Louis. A probable cause statement reveals the first incident happened last Tuesday at the Convention Center Metrolink station on North 6th Street. Police say the East St. Louis man approached a woman on a platform twice and asked her for directions. They say Gibson then left and returned with his genitals exposed. Investigators say when the woman ran, Gibson chased her, punched her in her head, and knocked her down.
It's very frightening. No one should have to, be scared.
Police say when Gibson inappropriately touched the woman, she screamed, alerting other riders. Gibson ran off. Investigators say the next day, Gibson walked up to a different woman at the Metrolink station at 8th and Pine, asked her for directions, and once again exposed himself. Charging documents allege he choked the woman, wrapped his arms around her torso, and touched her breast. Police say the 2 struggled before Gibson pulled her pants and underwear down. The woman fought him off, got away, and called police.
I'm always looking around, making sure what's going on.
That's why you should always travel in groups and know how to protect yourself.
The attempted rapes come on the heels of 2 separate violent fights that recently broke out on East Side Metrolink trains. After that violence, a Bi-State Development spokesperson said the company is working with its police partners to increase the law enforcement presence on the Metrolink system.
My thoughts and prayers are to those women.
Now, in a statement sent to us late tonight, Kevin Scott, Bi-State Development's president and CEO, says, quote, at the request of our customers, our partners, and the public, we are in the process of enhancing all aspects of our security platform. Scott also tells us that will include gating and fencing the Metrolink system at those platforms. And again, as for the suspect, Gibson, he is now, again, in the city jail. He's being held without bond. We're live downtown. I'm Robert Townsend. 5 on your side.
And police are still searching tonight for one of the suspects in a deadly shooting in Collinsville. Police say they got a call just a block from the police station Monday night around 7. When they arrived, they found the body of 19-year-old Vaden Hawks. He was shot to death on the sidewalk. Witnesses say there were 4 people running from the area. 3 people were arrested after a quick chase. If you have any information about this, you are asked to call the Collinsville Police at 618-344-2131. Mayor Tashara Jones delivered her State of the City address tonight, calling on Missouri Republicans to drop their push to take control of the St. Louis Police Department. She also pitched her plans to reduce crime and speed up city services over the long term. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, has the highlights from the mayor's speech. Mark.
Mike, the mayor never used a signature phrase or declarative statement to say the state of our city is this or the state of our city is that. Instead, she used a prop, an old time card from 1916, and described typewriters still at City Hall today as relics to illustrate a city that in many ways is stuck in the past.
A crowded gym at St. Louis University expected Mayor Tashara Jones to talk about her last 2 years in office. But when she took the stage Tuesday night, she turned back the clock 59 years
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke for about 45 minutes to an integrated audience in this very room.
About 45 minutes later, she closed her speech, quoting the civil rights icon's plea to put unity over division.
We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now.
38 times, the mayor mentioned crime or safety as she described the state of the city and prescribed her solutions.
Stemming the tide of crime is directly related to eradicating poverty. We can reduce crime by reducing poverty.
Jones pivoted to politics, hammering Republicans' culture war in the classroom.
And to Jefferson City, diversity is dangerous, history must be buried, and our centers of learning, our beloved schools and libraries cannot be trusted. If Ruby Bridges was strong enough to endure racism, our children are strong enough to learn about it.
And then delivered a dose of reality. A new study monitoring cell phone traffic in downtown St. Louis found the city has just 57% of the foot traffic downtown that it had before the pandemic.
The 1-2 punch of a shrinking workforce and COVID-19 put a strain on our city's overstretched workforce and our antiquated hiring system.
Jones attempted to calibrate public expectations about a swift recovery.
We can't go back to the so-called golden era of St. Louis.
But said over time, the city can accomplish a different goal.
To build a St. Louis that recognizes our diversity and adapts to the current post-pandemic reality.
A lot of people moved during the pandemic. To people moving to St. Louis, Jones said the city will open its arms and open a new office of New Americans to welcome immigrants and refugees.
You have a home here in St. Louis, and our city is better off because you're here.
New reaction tonight from Missouri House Republican Brad Crist responding, saying the city should crack down on crime with swifter consequences, and said the mayor should focus more on taking the people who steal cars to court instead of the companies who make cars. Of course, that's a job for a prosecutor, not a mayor. You can watch the full address on demand on the 5+ app or KSTK.com.
Mark, thanks. Another beautiful day today, but things are going to feel cooler for our Wednesday. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the Weather First forecast.
Just a little bit cooler as we head into tomorrow, Mike. Now, it's not going to be a dramatic adjustment from today. We ended up making it into the low 70s in St. Louis this afternoon, but late this afternoon, little front slid in. You saw the clouds increase. We have those clouds overhead tonight. And the winds will be out of the east and northeast. That should keep us a little cooler tomorrow. But that drier air trying to nudge in from the east and northeast also pushes most of that rain that's down to our south and southwest to our south tomorrow. So as a consequence, tomorrow's not a half bad day. Yes, there'll be limited sunshine over the next few days, but it's mainly dry into Wednesday. Your shower chances will pick up in earnest as we head towards Thursday, especially south of town. We'll time that out for you coming up in just a few minutes. And we're looking ahead towards the weekend. Our rain chances this weekend, they're still there, but there's some changes to what we expect. See you in about 12 minutes, Mike.
All right, Scott. Senator Josh Hawley is expected to take his Justice for Jana Elementary Act to the Senate floor tomorrow. The senator will ask for his bill to be approved unanimously. The bill would require the federal cleanup of Jana Elementary School, as well as test the entire school district for radioactive contamination. Congresswoman Cori Bush introduced the same legislation in the House earlier this week. This legislative push comes just one day after the Army Corps of Engineers released the first part of their final report on the school. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski joins us in studio, and Laura reports that parents are still frustrated. Laura.
They are, Mike. The Army Corps of Engineers say their testing and data shows there are no radiological concerns within the school, but parents still aren't convinced it's safe. The sounds of kids playing aren't coming from where you think. The halls and playground at Jana Elementary have been silent for months after concerns of radioactive waste on the property.
So they have been in schools with some of their peers and new peers within the Hazelwood School District. You know, I really commend all of those schools that took in our kids.
And it isn't a permanent solution, but parents like PTA President Ashley Burnoff don't want their kids to go back to the halls of Jana just yet.
We know the radioactive waste is on surface. Their data samples show it. That means that It is dislodged whenever those floodwaters come, and it gets moved all over this community.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says they tested areas inside and outside the school, taking 922 structural measurements and 790 soil samples, and said in a statement, quote, "This final report builds upon the preliminary results we shared with the community last November and provides additional data from our structural surveys and sampling, all of which have confirmed there are no radiological concerns with the school." Burnoff says she's not comfortable with kids being exposed to any level of chemicals tied to radioactive waste, and they just want the whole area cleaned up.
And so the Department of Energy, it's long past time to clean up the mess that they made. And for them to not take that level of responsibility, for them to not take that level of care for people and particularly our children, that is beyond frustrating. It's dangerous and it's deadly.
Tomorrow, St. Louis University is hosting a forum on the data collected at Jana Elementary from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The public is welcome to attend, and the Army Corps of Engineers will be there to talk about their findings. Mike.
Laura, thanks. A hearing is scheduled for tomorrow asking for a temporary restraining order on a ruling that would restrict transgender care in Missouri. 3 groups, including Lambda Legal, the ACLU, and the Bryan Cave Law Firm here in St. Louis, are suing to block the new restrictions on gender-affirming care for both minors and adults that would go into effect on Thursday. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey says the rule would protect children who he says are being experimented on. The opposing groups call this an outrageous attack. The hearing is slated for 1:30. The community is honoring the man who made a big impact on the St. Louis music scene. He was a regular at Squire's Happy Hour in Lafayette Square, and this Friday, the stage will stay dark for blues musician Tom Hall. He was killed over the weekend in an apartment fire. Instead of hearing his music, people will gather at the restaurant to remember Hall, and 100% of the bar sales will go to his family.
We don't even want to think about the replacing of Tom on Friday Happy Hour, especially not this one.
At Hammerstones in Soulard, a memorial hangs on the wall. The Bar and Grill says during Hall's regular time slot next week, it will hold a celebration of life. Criminals using apps and other technology to traumatize victims. Now a state lawmaker is working to give the victims a voice.
I think it's important that survivors and victims feel like people are listening and that we care.
How an I-Team report encouraged the leader to put an end to cyber stalkers. Making a mark on our city. The kind gesture that has one restaurant owner remembering Harry Belafonte tonight.
Weather traffic across our region is going to keep the sunshine limited heading into the weekend. We are tracking when the next round of more widespread showers arrives. We are one step closer to a cyber crimes task force in Missouri, thanks to reporting from our I-Team and state lawmakers. A senator in St. Louis County is hopeful her legislation will be signed in Jefferson City in the next few weeks after she saw the reports of a repeat cyber stalker. She tells our Paula Bassan what the bill will do and how it could help victims preyed upon by criminals.
Technology is used for all of us to stay in touch with each other. In the case of Robert Merkel, it was used to stalk women for years, threatening to rape, even murder women repeatedly, even after he got out of prison once.
I hate to use his name because he seems like a horrific person.
State Senator Tracy McCreary wants to toughen the state's response to cyberstalking. She's followed the I-Team's reporting on Merkel for years. From the allegations,
I know what it feels like to be a victim and try to get heard.
When he went to prison,
law enforcement didn't take it seriously, prosecutors didn't take it seriously.
When he got out, he soon pleaded guilty to doing it all over again.
It's sort of a product of the internet.
So McCreary has introduced a new bill in Jefferson City, one with bipartisan support.
They don't say, hey, I'm a Republican, hey, I'm a Democrat. They are just talking about their experiences and how traumatic it is to have somebody stalk you via apps and other forms of technology.
It creates a cybercrimes task force made up of law enforcement, victim advocates, victims of stalking themselves, and forensics experts. The task force would examine existing regulations and work to strengthen laws and enhance penalties if needed. It's something Dr. Samir Handuja supports. He's with the Cyberbullying Research Center, a nonprofit that studies the impact of cybercrime. Right now, he says Missouri is one of 3 states without laws that explicitly mention the electronic or digital aspect of stalking.
Technology-facilitated violence is definitely on the uptick. We're seeing it happen across different demographics and in various regions. And I think this is going to continue to be the trend.
McCreary hopes this task force stops that trend, working to stay ahead of new technology that potential stalkers may use.
I think that moving this task force bill forward is important to get the conversation going and to draw attention to the matter. But I also think it's important that survivors and victims feel like people are listening and that we care.
The Department of Justice says in 2019, nearly 1 million people in the U.S. age 16 or older fell victim to cyberstalking. Senator McCreary says her legislation is going through the Capitol now. She's hopeful it will pass by the end of the session next month. Do you have a tip for us to check out? Email me at paula@ksdk.com. For the I-Team, Paula Vasan, 5 on your side.
As for Merkel, he pleaded guilty to the federal charges against him last month. He also has a case pending in St. Louis County with a hearing scheduled in June. The arraignment for a man charged in the death of Cash App founder Bob Lee has been delayed. Nima Momeni was in court today, but his attorney argued she didn't have enough time to review crucial evidence in the case. The St. Louis native was stabbed earlier this month. Police say Lee and Momeni were arguing over the suspect's sister. Momeni is due back in court on May 2nd. President Biden makes it official he is running for a second term in 2024.
Let's finish this job. I know we can.
The president making the announcement with a 3-minute video in which he focused on some campaign issues, including the January 6th attack and abortion rights. The announcement comes 4 years to the day of his last White House bid. Former President Trump released a video of his own today.
Thanks to Joe Biden's socialist spending calamity, American families are being decimated.
This could mean a rematch of 2020, and according to a new NBC poll, that's not what America wants. Some voters saying they need younger candidates who will appeal to a younger generation. Actor and singer Harry Belafonte has died. He shot to fame in the 1950s with his calypso-style music.
Stack banana till the morning comes.
Belafonte made his mark on St. Louis. He was also a lifelong civil rights activist. In the 1950s, he became the first black person to use the Chase Park Plaza Hotel pool. In 2014, Belafonte and his family were in Ferguson during unrest following Michael Brown's death. One night, they stopped by Kathy's Kitchen for dinner, and Belafonte paid for every single customer's meal. Harry Belafonte was 96 years old. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us once again with our Weather First forecast and some changes in the offing, Scott.
Well, there certainly are some changes heading our way as we go into the weekend. Unfortunately, one of them is not a warm spring-like May forecast. We're almost into May. It starts next week. We're looking to the north, and one thing we have found, even though we've been a bit on the chilly side, there has been a lot of snowpack up to our north this winter. Third snowiest on record up around Minneapolis. All that snow melt now filling the Mississippi River north of St. Louis. And so the river levels are on the rise. Even around the St. Louis area, we're looking at those river levels starting to creep up. The crests are expected to flow into our area from that melting snowfall as we head into next week. Now, that doesn't take into account rainfall that might occur between now and then. The good news is there's not expected to be a lot to the north of us, and that's good. So minor flooding at Grafton, and then once you go up to Winfield and north of there, it's moderate flooding. And as you get up towards the Iowa border, then you start talking about real big impacts with the water there. But the Mississippi gets so much wider and deeper as it gets closer to St. Louis, and the Missouri River is running quite low right now, too. So temperatures in the coolest spots, well, we've got a couple of spots down into the 40s. Mount Vernon's 47, DeSoto's at 50, Warrenton's still 54. Don't have to worry about frost, so if you're filling the garden this weekend, we should be relatively quiet here. from that cold weather. Even though we're going to get another cool down heading into the weekend, it's not going to be as cold as what we saw this past weekend. 72 is our high today. We're down to 61 since we had the clouds. That's tending to hold temperatures up a bit. We should drop into the low and mid 40s. Clouds are kind of coming and going here through the overnight hours. We're waiting on this system out to the west. It eventually will get some rain in here, but not until we get into Thursday. So we'll go through Wednesday with just clouds coming and going. Overnight Wednesday night into early Thursday, the chance for rain increasing from the south. Pretty widespread area of showers expected as you go south of St. Louis by lunchtime Thursday. Then they scatter out into Thursday afternoon. And by Friday morning, they're starting to push away altogether. And that'll set us up for perhaps a scattered shower or two heading into Friday. And maybe a few showers around on Saturday. But the chances of showers on Saturday now are trending down a little bit, and we may even nudge that temperature up a little bit on Saturday. Either way, we're staying a little bit below average here over the next few days, but not a lot of rainfall in the rain gauge for us. Thursday afternoon, maybe a quarter to a half an inch around St. Louis, Mike.
All right, Scott, thanks. Sports is next.
We have it all tonight, Mike. City SC, the Cardinals' Dennis Gates and Jason Tatum.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
Well, now that the Cardinals have gotten through their customary first loss of the series out of the way, it's time to try and win the next game. And it's a very big start tonight for Jake Woodford. He's regarded as the 6th starter. But if your starting staff is 26th in earned run average, they can't banish him to the bullpen if he's good tonight, can they? Hey, do you remember John Brebbia? He was the character out of the Cardinal bullpen who used to bring teammates flowers on Valentine's Day. Today, he brought the Cardinals heat. There's 96. He went an inning and a third in a bullpen start for the Giants. Cardinals can play defense. They don't here. This is out of Little League. Wilson Contreras with the bad throw, and Dylan Carlson makes the second error. Terrio Estrada will score the game's first run. The second run was more conventional, a homer by Tommy Edman. Right now it's Giants 2, Cardinals 1 in the 6th inning. Adam Wainwright starting for Springfield in Double-A Wichita tonight, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, 74 pitches, 52 strikes. The question is, does he start Sunday for the Cardinals?
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
Tonight, City SC played in the U.S. Open Cup. Their opponent is Union Omaha. Now, they come from the USL League One, which is the 3rd best league in the country. The MLS is obviously the best. Tonight was a chance for City SC to play some of the younger players in their organization. 22,423 on hand, a record for a 3rd-round game at the Open Cup. And 3 minutes in, this is AZ Jackson untouched, the lethal left foot for the first goal of the game. 3 minutes into the second half, Celio Pompeu will get the goal off the deflection. City SC wins it 5-1.
There were a lot of ballers, like street ballers, a lot of happy guys playing some soccer, you know, and that's almost what we wanted for them. You know, we wanted these guys to be brave and to play with the edge, to prove a point, to send me a message to say, Coach, why am I not playing? So they sent the right response, and they sent me the right message tonight.
Mizzou is making a strong effort to own this town. St. Louis is the leading alumni base for the university, so they really don't want to give up a home game in Columbia, but in the long run, filling that dome with 64,000 cheering on the Tigers is a very good thing for the program. It was Mizzou to the Lou tonight at Ballpark Village. The Mizzou contingent came to town to promote Tiger athletics and the big football game at the Dome September in Memphis. And how about that basketball program? We all know about that brilliant 25-game win season for Dennis Gates on the hardwood. And tonight I tried to get the coach to gloat about the year.
But we did not finish strong, and we ran into a very hot Princeton team, and right now I have a little postseason depression.
But when you look back, 25 wins, top 4 SEC, that's pretty good. Would you grant me that?
20 years from now, I'll look back and say it may have been an okay season, but right now I can't really say that because I thought we should have been playing on April 3rd.
Celtics and Hawks in a Game 5, and it looked like this was all Boston. Jason Tatum, 2 of his 19 points. The Celtics led by 10 in the fourth quarter, but Trae Young was outrageous down the stretch. This 3 tied the game at 111, and then with about a second to go from way downtown, a game-winning 3. He had 38. Atlanta wins 119 to 117. Boston leads the series 3-2. And that will do it in sports.
All right, Frank. Powell Hall has been the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra's home since 1968. Now it's getting a facelift. Decades in the making. Powell Hall is getting a $130 million facelift. The renovation will bring new, more comfortable and accessible seats, as well as an expanded lobby, new staircases, elevators, and concession space. St. Louis Symphony Orchestra will hold its last concert in Powell Hall for a while on May 14th, and then move to the Stiefel Theater and the Two Hill Performing Arts Center until construction is complete. And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next, and Jimmy's guests include actor Jude Law. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great tomorrow.